What's up, everybody? This is Mastery and Gamer, and we just got the reveal trailer for the brand new upcoming Overwatch hero, who we now know to be named Shion, who is basically everything we had speculated about. Shion is the new upcoming Hashimoto Elder. She is an omnic who has a very human appearance, and indeed is a dual wielder of pistols, who also seems to spend an awful lot of time riding around on a bike. Maybe so much so that she even makes Kiriko look bad. But let's go ahead and jump right on in, breaking down this trailer, detailing everything we learn about this new hero. She does have a rather unique design, being a omnic with a very human-type appearance. Now, at a glance, it's not very clear whether or not she's an omnic or a human that's just a cyborg, but in the short, when we see her facing off against Sojourn, she actually refers to Sojourn as a human, saying not bad for a human, which gives a strong implication that she herself is not a human. And additionally, at a few quick scenes throughout the short, we can actually get a look at her forehead lights, which is a iconic trait of Omnics. So despite her having a very human-designed face with human eyes and a mouth and everything, it does seem that she is indeed an Omnic, just one that's modified itself to look very human in its detailing. Additionally, as one of the elders of the Hashimoto faction, she has a sort of business suit, I guess you could say, for her outfit, along with the iconic Hashimoto horns, this time though being built directly into her head as opposed to just being part of a mask. And perhaps most interestingly is that when she talks, her mouth doesn't actually move. Like other Omnics, of course, they don't really have lips or a need to move their mouth when they speak. Instead, when she speaks, her neck lights up red, which is an interesting little detail. I wonder if that's how it's going to work in game 2, or if they're just going to forego that, seeing as, well, in-game, other heroes don't really move their mouths when they talk anyways. So I guess that kind of just works out the same either way. Although she is certainly capable of expressing with different facial animations and opening her mouth, as we see throughout the short, even if she doesn't necessarily need to in order to speak, per se. As mentioned in the opening, she does spend an awful lot of time on a bike chasing down the train where Sojourn is trying to apprehend some weapons that Talon and the Hashimoto are dealing with, basically, and even uses the bike as a weapon at one point to throw it forward and basically explode the train to break off the train car, which makes me wonder, is the bike to some degree gonna end up being part of her kit? I don't know. I don't really know. We don't actually get a lot of specific detail here when it comes to her kit and abilities. The two things we do get a pretty definitive look at are the dual-wielded pistols, which of course we knew was a detail she had for a while. You could tell from that original silhouette, and we clearly see her using them here. And additionally, she looks to have some sort of bladed weapon, a sort of red dagger type sword thing that she whips out at one point, which was a detail leaked when we had our initial leaks about her a little while back, that she had some sort of unique melee mechanic. She uses it to sort of stab Sojourn and shock her a little bit. So I'm curious to see how that actually ends up working in-game as a melee mechanic. And interestingly, doesn't seem to actually be part of her pistols, as had originally been speculated and sort of implied by the leaks, but rather looks to be a sort of separate standalone weapon, almost like her own little Tonto she whips out. Kind of like Genji's quick melee, at least in terms of the aesthetics of him performing the quick melee. Beyond this, though, we really don't get any indication of her kit and abilities, which could mean that, they're just going to save that for the actual gameplay trailer, which I assume we're going to be getting within the next couple days. Or it's also possible that her kit doesn't really have a lot of specific flashy elements to it, not like in the same tangible way as Sierra, with like her drone or the tracking shot. Maybe her abilities are going to be more movement-based, quick sort of like firing mechanisms or something. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see on that. But we do get from the trailer that she is a very cool elder, obviously capable of taking on Sojourn by herself, while the rest of the Hashimoto goons are typically useless. With the trailer ending, then, with her delivering a bunch of supplies to Malga, with the implication that it's then being relayed to Vendetta. Although we don't actually get to see what it is exactly that is delivered to Malga. We just kind of get the classic Pulp Fiction opening the briefcase, but not actually seeing what's inside, which kind of feels like standard par for the course at this point when it comes to these hero trailers. That's kind of what happened in Sierra's trailer as well, with the little cryogenic box that wasn't really detailed in the short itself. And now we get a similar deal here. So I guess we'll find out more about that later, maybe. But either way, the trailer does give us a pretty good look at the design of the character at the very least. And at the very end, we do even get a full detailed image of that original silhouette thumbnail, showing her in full detail here, and she looks pretty majestic, I gotta say. Also worth noting, we do get a proper look at who was standing down here with the sword, which I talked about in one of my earlier analysis videos. It is indeed Genji, standing on the roof, facing off against one of the Hashimoto goons. So nothing special or fancy there. There's a lot of theories and speculation about who this was supposed to be. Nah, it's just Genji. Just Genji doing what he does. Standing on roofs and pointing swords at people. Also, another detail that some people were speculating about from the earlier silhouette image was that the pistols are actually separate as like two different pistol designs, but we can pretty clearly see here with the fully revealed image and just in the trailer itself that the pistols do look to be identical to each other. They don't seem to be like Malga's miniguns where they each have a separate effect when each of them is fired and they have a slightly different design to sort of reflect that. These pistols do look to be identical, and while it is technically possible that they'll still have their own independent firing mechanisms, kind of like Malga as a dual-wield weapon, at least visually, the pistols look identical. And no, neither of them appear to have any sort of bayonet as part of their design, as it seems that that melee mechanic of hers is going to be its own standalone weapon. So yeah, on that note, I think that does it for most of what we have to cover here for the new hero in the trailer today. A little disappointed that we didn't get a better look at her actual gameplay, kit, and abilities. No info still on what her ultimate really is going to be, unless the ult is just throwing a bike at people, which it might be for all we know. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But I will say I do quite appreciate the fact that she is an omnic with such a human design. It's a very unique design for a character, especially an omnic character, and I think it's a pretty good middle ground on Blizzard's part of being able to add a new omnic hero, while also being able to add a attractive hero, should we say, that'll be probably pretty good at selling skins and other cosmetics down the line. So a pretty clever move on Blizzard's part, you could say. I am very curious to see what sort of cosmetics Shion gets in particular. I'm sure we can imagine quite easily, based on the skins other heroes like her have already gotten in the game. But on that note, definitely let me know your thoughts on Shion in the comments down below. Are you excited to get to see more of her? Are you excited to learn more about what she has in store and what her kit and abilities are going to end up being? Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, be sure to subscribe, hit up that bell icon, follow me on X, and join my Discord server to hang out and never miss any future Overwatch 2 news streams and other content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible. And if you'd like to join them to earn some cool rewards, then just hit that join button down below. Otherwise, this is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.